Welcome everybody. I'm just going to go live on Facebook like we usually do. Hello everyone. Welcome to the world of NeuroGraphica. I'm welcoming you today to the, I believe 8 or 9th actually session as we are going through the 10 principles of NeuroGraphica, as we're all delving deeper, looking into it, studying it, and learning something more, discovering various aspects of NeuroGraphic as we learn and as we draw, okay? If you can, as usual, give me a second. I just want to make sure I am, let me see. Let me just make sure I see your questions. There you go. Give me a second, it's a bit slow. For some reason. Doing good. Okay. Let's do this so I can see. Okay, excellent. I'm here. I can see your questions, those of you who usually win. Okay, so welcome again. We are going to start the, we're going to start the 10 principles in NeuroGraphica. As usually, we're going to kind of review what we had previously, right? We are now in our second part, right? The first 5 was about the way NeuroGraphica works within the person's subconscious, the psychology of NeuroGraphica, psychology part of NeuroGraphica. Now we're talking about the graphical expression, right? The first part was neuro, right? What does it have to do with the human mind? And now the second part is graphica, the graphical expression. What is happening? How does that fit into our life? We discussed how the image integrate meanings. Meanings contain states of mind, of emotions, right? And then we discussed how problems are the creation of the thinking mind, and how when we have solutions, they have bionic quality. They're a combination of the biological part of who we are, the human being, and the creative part of who we are. What do we create? What do we bring? And how by bringing, using bionic quality of our solutions, we reach harmony, which further brings us to satisfaction, okay? And now we're in the series about the graphical part, the graphical solutions, the way we express ourselves through the graphical expression, the drawing on the paper. The 6th principle was if the universe fits on the tip of the marker, right? We use the marker as an extension of our most creative part of our body, which is our hands, how we do most of the actions in our world. Then we discussed it last time, that was yesterday, how any task has a graphical solution. We can take any issue, any task, anything we would like to figure out, right? You can have a business plan and you can put it on the paper through the symbol, right? What you see actually here on the left side, the symbol, the mandala of symbols. Each symbol here, each part, each layer has the same pictures all over again. So each symbol has a significance, right? Each symbol means something to me. And as I repeat it within each circle with different colors, I harmonize it, I give it harmony, and I bring it to a certain solution, right? So we're going to talk about something called the 8th principle. It's talking about paper has no borders or boundaries, okay? What does that mean? Okay, let's discuss that. Give me a second. Okay, just want to make sure. Give me a second. I just want to see you guys. Okay. I just want to make sure that I see your questions. Oh, I see. Okay, now I see. Okay. Excellent, Ilona. Oh, glad to see you. Let's start. I want to tell you a bit more. Give me a second, okay? When I close my sharing screen, kind of changes the way my Zoom works. So, okay, excellent. Now I can talk to you guys. Okay, let's discuss this. As usually, let's go through each part of our phrase, so to say, right? Our original phrase says the drawing has no borders or boundaries, okay? Let's focus on the first part, okay? Let's talk about the drawing. When we discuss the drawing, what does it mean? Where do we draw usually? We usually write this, so to say, the societal acceptance of drawing would be on the paper. When my kids were little, oh, thank you. Hi, Marla. So nice to see you. So glad to see you. I didn't realize, I just saw that you were looking for the link in the neurocoaching group. It's in the announcement, just FYI, while I'm here to remember to tell you, it's in the announcement section in the very first post where I write everything. The Zoom link is always there, but I will post it separately for you guys to find. Okay. But thank you for your compliment. So when my kids were little, they had a thing where they like to draw on the walls, right? And in some areas, I've been to some place, working with children at home a lot. I actually have been to houses where parents allow their children to draw on the wall, right? So really, we all have different expectations of places or planes, so to say, areas where we can draw, right? Most of the time, people draw on the paper. Most of the time, okay? That's so to say, societal acceptance. Most of the parents will not let their children draw on the walls. I remember my landlord coming and seeing it, and he was like, what is that? And I said, don't worry, I'll paint it over. So most of the people only want to draw on the paper. And they kind of, there is a certain societal expectation when children go to school, of course, with time, as my children grew, I kind of got them used to the idea that let's bring our creativity to the paper. And if you need a bigger size of paper, I'll give it to you. So that's where it comes to, right? People draw on the paper, but sometimes we become constricted. Sometimes we feel like, oh, hi, Suhair. So nice to see you. Welcome. I'm glad to see you here. So they become constricted. They become kind of limited by the fact that they need to draw, express themselves on this little tiny piece of paper, right? And they want to draw on bigger pieces of paper. And it's true. The truth is, as we talked about how what we draw on the paper is really a symbol, as we discussed it in the last session. What we draw, what we put on the paper is really a symbol of our task in life. Whatever we want to express in our life, we are putting it on the paper. We're expressing, we're symbolizing. So sometimes some people will have a hard time by putting their life task or life issues, challenges on a little piece of paper. They're like, we need a big piece of paper. And that's what we're talking about. It's interesting to note how, size can make a difference. But what I would like to bring here is that you guys have the control. You guys can decide. Do you want to draw on a tiny piece of paper or you want to go further? And in NeuroGraphica, what Pavel Piskarev, the author of all of these principles, the founder of NeuroGraphica, what he right away said, he right away did not deepen that discussion or argument that, oh, I think people can draw on a smaller paper, other people, artists who like to draw on big canvases, they will say, how can you draw on a small piece of paper? You need to go on a bigger piece of paper. And what Pavel is saying is, guys, it can work both ways. There is no borders or boundaries when it comes to your drawing. You can learn, or you can take a little tiny piece of paper. We just did it actually in the neuro coaching group. We took a small piece of paper and even made it smaller by drawing a frame and drawing the picture, the NeuroGraphica Express picture, okay? But I want to tell you about something that we do the opposite. In the specialist course, we have a wonderful algorithm, one of the most popular algorithms in NeuroGraphica called the NeuroTree. And when we draw the NeuroTree, we start with drawing on a small piece, and then we start growing it bigger and bigger and bigger. And we start noticing how the scale changes. And we start paying attention to the fact that no matter what size of paper we take, it can always expand further. Just like our life has no borders or boundaries, we can easily go into our past by going into our memories. We can easily, we can learn how to stay in the present. And we can learn with NeuroGraphica, we know this is possible. We'll learn how to go into the future. The important thing is to remember that when it comes to borders or boundaries, we mean everything, whether it comes to your time frame, whether we're talking about borders and boundaries within your life, the way you feel your life, the way you experience your life. And we know that human beings can do all of them. They can go in the past and the present and then travel into the future as we fantasize, as we dream. We discussed that yesterday. We fantasize, we dream, and then we plan and do with the realization. When we start drawing in NeuroGraphica, we remember that we are focusing on one task in that lifetime, in that moment in life. We are drawing one fragment of life. But through that fragment in life, we do all of it. We're drawing kind of the whole life. We're going into our past. We're trying to remember what were the memories, what are the associations, right? Every time we do the reflection process, what do we bring up? What are the associations? Associations are our memories that bring us back to other instances when something similar was experienced, right? And when we draw NeuroGraphica, we are connecting ourselves to the whole timeline, to where we are in the past and where we're going in the future. So in that sense, from a psychological point of view, the paper has no borders or boundaries. When you draw NeuroGraphica, it doesn't matter what size you pick. You can always experience your life in its fullness. But also on the physical side, right? When you draw NeuroGraphica, there's always a way to expand the size of your paper. Remember that borders only exist in our mind. In fact, they don't even exist. That's what Pavel says. Pavel is arguing that the borders don't exist according, as opposed to the political situation, right? Where we have different countries. The borders were invented by logicians, by politics who needed to, to make sure that people are staying, that there's a government, that there's a structure. The same thing happens with the paper, right? Some people who created the office supply stores, right? They decided that they want to cut paper in different sizes. But remember that we live in a flow. Just like our mental abilities are endless, we can easily go from one instance to another. Just like how our visualization and fantasy ability is unlimited, we're able to go to the future, to the parts where nobody ever thought, right? Each one of us is capable of fantasizing about something that let's say, wouldn't be able to, but you can, right? We all have our own goals. But remember, that can be expressed on the paper and going beyond. I'm going to show you now what we are talking about. I'm inviting you to change my camera now. And I want to bring something else before we actually draw. I want to notice that when we talk about your drawing having no borders or boundaries, it's so important to know that sometimes it's so important to, this principle brings us to the focus that we need to understand, where are we in life? Sometimes in life, we need to be building borders. We need to become aware of the boundaries that we have within ourselves that we need to establish those boundaries with other people. So this goes two ways, right? At one point, you can decide that you have no borders or boundaries in life, but on the other hand, you can decide, you know, I need to have borders in my life. At this point, within this task, I need to establish my borders. Now I'm going to invite you, we're going to work with this exercise on the paper. I am going to change my camera so you can see what I draw. Sometimes on Facebook, guys, refresh if it gets stuck. Sometimes that happens when you change your camera. Just refresh your okay. Yeah, that happens to me. When I change my camera, my own Facebook doesn't work. So I have to refresh it. Let's see. 1 second. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Let's go further. Okay, let's look at this. Yeah, I'm inviting you. Okay. Let's do this exercise, okay? Take a paper. And give yourself a frame, okay? By the way, we're gonna actually learn how to do this fully in this Sunday as we're doing the second session of the basics course. So that's a great exercise. But for now, I wanna give you an idea, right? Sometimes in life, we decide that we need to learn to put boundaries. We need to learn how to work within a certain frame. Actually, we can do it a bit differently. But you can do a square or you can even do a circle. I'm going to give you a bit of an exercise from our specialist course. By the way, we're starting our specialist course, I believe next week. Yes, we're going to do our specialist course next week. So those of you who are interested in becoming specialists, learning how to use and start using, getting the certification and start using NeuroGraphica as a professional practice tool, you're welcome to join us, okay? This program is very unique. It's rarely given, so it's an amazing program. So look, we're gonna take a circle, right? And we're going to draw something inside, something we'll call the neuro tree. Those of you who want to learn more about the neuro tree, you can go. I have a lot of open sessions on the neuro tree on my YouTube channel called Lana Shalom. For now, you can just draw some neural lines going from the bottom to the top and just give an outline of the tree, okay? Just add some neural lines as you draw the structure of the tree, okay? Now, what I want to bring to you, otherwise I'm going to use my thicker marker. What I want to bring to you is that we actually did this. This is called the neuro tree mandala. As you draw the tree, as you learn to establish yourself, as you learn to function within this specific frame of your life, right? Sometimes people, if you start telling them, let's draw on a big piece of paper, if you start telling them, let's open up a business, let's make you a business owner, people, start having the resistance. They start saying that, what if it's too much of a goal for me? What if I can't achieve it? Not everybody are able to start going, on the top. And it's true, when you climb the mountain, you don't start at the top. You start slowly, you start going, climbing up. And that's where this technique would be amazing, where you, start working with your boundaries. And sometimes that would be good, when for people who need to learn to set boundaries, for people who need to learn how to, function in various situations, like whether it's workplace, let's say somebody who's a therapist, a coach, needs to learn how to work on their boundaries, because when you have a lot of clients, it's important to kind of understand where you are, as empathetic people need to do this. where you learn how to understand where you are in life and how to separate yourself from other people's thoughts, emotions, egregors. Egregors are a different situation, because you can't fight with egregors. The only thing you can do with egregors is not kind of go along with them, but just kind of float them away. You don't fight with them, but you can choose whether you want to follow it or just kind of establish your own boundaries. This exercise is excellent for learning how to establish boundaries, whether, so people do not invade your space, whether it's your family members, whether it's, people in your workplace. Boundaries establishment is very important. Yet what Pavel is saying, once you work on that establishment, once you work through that small area, you remember that the paper has no boundaries, right? If my paper was this little, let's imagine, right? And I draw a smaller tree. Now I'm saying I want to grow my tree. And that's what you do. You go beyond the borders, right? You start going, taking your line and go outside your border. Breathing in and breathing out is you're daring to do something different now. You're going outside of your borders, right? Guys, this practice is very invigorating, right? As you start growing your neuro tree, you start feeling, some people may have anxiety. And in that case, in the basics course, we do what we learned in the basics course, the ARL, right? You start working through that anxiety, through that limitation. Maybe it's on the inner part, you're not fully ready to grow yet, right? And that's what you do. You take a piece of paper and you start do the ARL. But pay attention to your body, exactly what we do in the reflection process, right? To your emotions, to your thoughts. What are the thoughts that are coming up? How do you feel about this growth? Are you encouraging it? Are you happy about it? Or do you have some questions? Do you have some thoughts that you would like to bring, that you would like to resolve? And do that, as you add the neural lines, see how you're growing. And we usually do this, this is a whole algorithm called the neurotree that we exercise during the specialist course. It's an amazing, for me, it's one of my favorite algorithms. It's actually the favorite, not just one, but I love the mandala as well. I'm going to show you, let's go further, is what I'm trying to bring you to, is what I'm trying to show you in practice, what Pavel meant when he said, paper has no boundaries. Guys, do you want to grow further? Why don't we do that? You can understand this by understanding that paper has no boundaries. Do you need to grow? Do you feel that this piece of paper is too small for you now? Just, put it on a bigger piece of paper and start growing, okay? Voila. Okay, you can do this, honestly, in any size you want, okay? Any way you want. You can grow as big as you want. I see pictures of people taking poster-size paper and growing their tree. The tree is actually very amazing, very, what would be the word? Very mystical symbol that we learn in NeuroGraphica. But see how far you want to grow further, right? Put your paper on a bigger size of paper and see if you want to grow. Sometimes you feel like growing and sometimes you want, and it's okay. Remember to respect your process, okay? Only grow, only draw if you're ready. But this exercise is just to show you that sometimes we want to establish our boundaries. Sometimes we say, look, I'm in a big world, but I want to stay here. This is my space. I don't want anybody invading it without my permission. And sometimes I say, I am ready to grow. I'm ready to conquer the world. I mean, figuratively speaking, of course, not like Pinky and the Brain. I'm joking. It's a famous cartoon, right? About the two lab rats. And the cartoon always starts with one phrase, right? They start the cartoon and they say, Pinky, what are we going to do today? And the Brain says, what we do every day, trying to take over the world, right? And that's so funny. It's ironic, it's sarcastic, but it's so true. Isn't that what we do every day? Trying to take over the world, trying to figure out where are we in this world? What are we doing here? How can we start our achievements, start our, bring our desires? How do we dare to dream today? Okay, just to give you an idea, if you look at this tree, look how skinny, how fragile this trunk looks. So what I would do is I would increase it. But again, honestly, this whole drawing I have on my YouTube channel. You guys are welcome to access it. It's, easily accessible. Writing my name on YouTube, Lana Shalom, Neurotree, and you will find an array of Neurotrees we did. One of them is this one, mandala of Neurotree, okay? It's an amazing. But again, work with your boundaries. See where you need to strengthen them. See which area of your life would you like to strengthen your boundaries, and see which area in your life would you like to expand them and start working on them, okay? When you need to strengthen your boundary, this is what you draw. You draw a small frame on a big piece of paper. This piece of paper is the world. And this is where you are now. You're strengthening yourself. You're drawing yourself within a smaller frame. You can make it bigger, but the point is to draw the frame, to draw yourself, give yourself that boundary that you're looking to establish. And then when you're ready to come out of your boundary, when you're ready to, when you rested and you're saying, I'm ready to deal with the world, you start growing, you start drawing outside, okay? We just did an exercise within the neuro coaching. First, I drew the boundary, right? I stayed inside. And then I was ready to go outside. I even colored outside and I brought more to the background. But I'm not ready to bring more neural lines to the background. I am comfortable staying the way it is, but I added by color, I added resources to my world. Okay, guys? And that's what it is. This is the principle in NeuroGraphica. The eighth principle, where we are stating that that you are drawing your world, even though it says has no boundaries or borders. I would like to bring you a different, not a different, but kind of further that message and say, and even if you do feel like having a border or boundaries, you get to decide where your borders are, who do you invite within your borders, and how do you move forward from there? Okay, do you want to stay in? Sometimes you want to go into your house, right? And that's why, by the way, when we draw a square, that's a house. That's a stability, right? The square, as we discussed last time, is a symbol of a house that you built. What is a house? A place where you can go inside and have your privacy. There is a roof to protect you from the rain and the snow. There are windows, right? There are walls that kind of separate you from the outside world and from your neighbors, right? And those of you who may be having your own room, that separates you from your other family members. Sometimes you don't have that, right? Sometimes family members don't have separation. Sometimes they're huddled together. They don't have their own space. And this exercise is perfect for that. When you feel like in a physical sense, you don't have your own space, it's good for mommies, who have either newborn or a lot of kids, or, mommies don't always have their own space, right? They share their space with daddies, right? And that's important. Then you go in, you draw this border, and you stay there. You draw yourself. You can do an ARL to remove the limitation to improve your, maybe your emotional well-being. You can draw a circle and draw the ARL within the circle. That's very harmonizing, because remember, circle is a symbol of harmony. okay? You can draw various other algorithms. Again, inviting you to join the specialist course. In the specialist course, we're going to learn 6 new algorithms, 6, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. In the basics course, we learn 4. In the specialist course, we learn 6. Plus, once you learn the 6 algorithms, you also get the right to use the 4 algorithms you learned in the basics course. I will, I'm going to see if I'm going to do an intro session to the specialist. Either I will do an intro session or I will just, on the world of NeuroGraphica, I will post the intro session that I did in the previous cohort, okay, where you can learn more about what the specialist course is and how you can, you know, what are the benefits of obtaining this certification and how you can use it within your professional practice. But start focusing inside yourself and seeing, where are you now? Where are you within your task, within your goal? Are you inside the border and you want to grow? Or are you outside and you need to get inside? You need to establish, let yourself be a little bit by yourself, okay? In any case, I thank you for joining me today. I had fun joining, learning, and drawing this beautiful neuro tree with you guys. I'm already thinking about what it's going to be next, how it's going to grow, and how far it's expanding. But yeah, you're welcome to finish your drawing and share it with us in the world of NeuroGraphica group or the world of NeuroGraphica page. Can you place borders after you drew your image, reverse order? Great question, Ilona. You and your questions, you know, you were so, remember we just discussed the reflective questions? That's what you give. You give me questions that are very introspective. I constantly have to reflect upon them. Let's think about it. Let's say you drew a picture, right? Let's say I drew a picture. Let me take an example. Okay, let's say I drew this big picture. And let's say I didn't finish it, right? But I drew, and I'm thinking, I need some space. Maybe I would ask you back, why do you feel the need to place a border now after after you drew your image? So going with the answer, right? When you answer that question, why do you need these borders? What do you need the boundaries from? I would ask you, where in your picture would you like to place that border? You sure can. Ilona, you can do anything you want to. You can place the borders. My question would be to focus on why and where. So let's say you say, I want to put my borders here in this part of the picture. I would say, sure, go ahead and do that. And then I would ask you a question and say, what is outside of that border? Would you like to kind of protect yourself, or would you like to, is this a temporary border or is it a permanent? So basically, what I just did before, ask yourself questions. Why? What is the need to go into the border afterwards? But absolutely, yes, I think you can do that. Ilona, amazing question. I love it. It's so beautiful. Kind of gets you thinking about various interesting ideas and issues that people encounter in life. Yes. Yeah, let's say in this picture, I would say, do I want to go into this border? Yes, you can create a shape and go in it. And think about, why do you need to go into this border? Now, if a person has anxiety or stressful situation that came up, you know what to do. You just draw the ARL, the catharsis. Maybe your tree, you grew it too big and you want to put another limit outside the original. Absolutely. But let's say in my case, when I drew the tree, I actually consciously asked myself, am I ready? Do I want to go further? And I said, yes. Now, if you ask me, do I want to go into a bigger piece? I would have my reservations. But let's say I agree with what you're saying. Let's say at a certain point, I feel like I need to escape or kind of hide. Again, remember the tree works differently. Remember how within the tree, people create different things, such as a halo, such as a swing. There are so many different symbols you can add to your tree to do what you are looking for. So again, my question would be why? What is your purpose? What are you looking to achieve? You can create that border, let's say, right? Circle. Let's do this, okay? Let's say I'm going to say, I need these borders, and you can stay in there, right? You can even like put your fingers and like kind of breathing in and breathing out. You can draw a little of a catharsis in it, right? Or you can take the circle and create a resource for yourself. That's why I would ask all those questions. Why? Were you avoiding something, or are you kind of reflecting on something? I would actually ask probably more open-ended questions like why, what is your goal, you know? But it's something for you to think about, like focus. Okay, let's say you want to kind of, this may be too much, and that happens in life, right? Sometimes it's too much. And you want to give yourself here, and that's what you do. You kind of draw a circle and just stay in there. You can draw, you know, a person in there, right? And you say, ooh, I like it in here, right? You can do that. You can get a little whimsical, right? And you can say, what would I like to do here? And you say, I would like to draw. I would like to maybe listen to some favorite music, maybe some Mozart or maybe some Gershwin, right? Maybe some opera, right? Whatever you like to do. I want to read in there, right? And you can draw. Look what I'm doing. I'm adding circles, and they're my resources. The point is, you can draw yourself and go into the boundary, but remember, do not, don't stay there for too long. Allow yourself to come out and see the accomplishments that you have. Okay, whatever point you can start. When you're ready to come out, what you start doing is you can also, even before you're ready, you can start adding circles, some shapes to your tree, whether it's in your past, which goes on the bottom usually, or whether it's in your future, and they will be your resources for feeling comfortable to come out, but you can stay inside as much as you want. And like I said, give yourself resources. I want to maybe watch TV, maybe watch some movies, maybe socialize with a friend or do some kind of meditational retreat for myself. Go get a facial, go to a spa, get a manicure and pedicure, right? Those are very resourceful, right? As we nourish our body, we kind of tend to give our body the resources we need to go on. That would be another thing I would also focus. What is it that you are trying to find, resources in? Is it the physical space? Is it the emotional space, right? Or is it the mental, right? For me, the mental would be reading. Sometimes reading, some like professional literature, which I don't call it professional because I enjoy it, right? Like right now, I'm reading a lot about labyrinths as I'm like working on my certification in the labyrinth work. And I'm reading about archetypes, how to bring archetypes, what archetypes are, the Jungian idea and everything. So to me, even though it's professional, it's quite pleasant. And I also read something easygoing. I am reading a book called Kids Speak. It's a beautiful book. I bought it for my kids, but I'm reading. It's the stories, real true stories of children, how they overcome various difficult, life situations they get in. And even though it's kids' stories, they're mostly like, like adolescent teenagers and not adolescents, like ages, no, they're kids. They're like ages 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe. But as I read them, I start getting the resources. As I read how they overcome, and they're little kids, and they overcome, serious life situations, whether they're stuck in a forest, whether they get lost by going on water rafting. As I read them, they're my resources. So this reading gives me resources. Gain the resources you need while you're inside. Always ask yourself, why am I going into a boundary? What is it about this outside life that makes me kind of apprehensive, that I feel the need to go? It could be a part of your personality because you're an introvert. Introverts need to be inside a lot. You know, we need to take our time to rest and meditate. And again, if you're an empathic person, you need to take your time to sit down, breathing in and breathing out to figure out where are you and where are the thoughts and the emotions of maybe your clients. Has it affected you? Has it not? You know, you need to work on your boundary. And then, yes, you come out back again. Okay. But yeah, beautiful question. Thank you, Lana. Thank you for bringing us to this wonderful new kind of look on the way to draw NeuroGraphical. Any other questions anybody has? Welcome to write, and I'll be happy to answer. Okay. I would like to thank you guys. I'm going to switch my camera. I want to thank you for joining me today. It was an amazing session. As I always say, you know, we learn from each other. It seems like I am teaching something to you, but it's not always true. I'm teaching one aspect of, let's say, maybe technical aspect of NeuroGraphica. But what really happens in life, we learn from each other so much, right? From the questions you ask, from many various aspects that you bring, very various ideas and opinions that you have. I truly enjoy that. And I thank you. And I'm saying goodbye to you. Thank you, Ilona. And I am welcoming you to join me tomorrow as we continue exploration. Let me remember what time tomorrow. Tomorrow we are meeting at 11 a.m. Okay, tomorrow our meeting is at 11 a.m. I'm looking forward to seeing you. We're going to learn the 9th principle of NeuroGraphica. We're nearing the end, right, guys? The 9th principle, isn't that exciting? And the 9th principle says the world is made of shapes and lines. Isn't that interesting? Okay. Wishing you a beautiful, beautiful day ahead. Yeah, Marlo, your question. Fun was to draw large neurotronic cameras. Would you start this way? I would say so. I guess from the perspective, and this is what I want to bring, from the perspective of somebody who is, 1 second, somebody popped up. Don't know why. From the perspective of somebody who is not a professional artist, that's what I would do. That's how I usually draw my big pictures. I think, don't ask me, I don't know, professional, like if you ask those people who really draw on big canvases, I guess Rain would know, right? Like 1660, like you see Pavel standing in front of. I would say it this way. Have you ever done, you know, like those board meetings and presentation on the big formats, like 60 by 60. I remember doing the various presentations in like fairs, you know, and like various, what do you call it? Conferences where I would present NeuroGraphica to people who are completely new. And I would draw on those giant, you know, what do you call it? Presentation meetings, 60 by 60. You need to learn how to do that. It takes time. Like I would suggest taking a paper and practicing. But yeah, I personally would start that way, but you don't have to. Maybe start. Take a poster size paper or even take an A3, but I think you already drawn A3. So maybe take a poster size paper. Yeah, flip chart, there you go. Take a poster size paper and start looking. The best part about the NeuroTree, it's so easy to draw. All you do is neuroline from the bottom to the top, you know, and you just, all you have to make sure is that you keep the shape of the tree, you know, the structure of the tree. But other than that, you just have to do the neurolines and then you start seeing how you feel. You know, for somebody like you, like if you're telling me you draw an A3 regularly, then going to the poster size is going to be easy, not hard. But somebody, let's say, who only likes to draw on like A5, you know, I personally do A5 because it's quick and I I do it over. But sometimes I feel like drawing on a more than A4 and like 9x12. And then it's easier to, it really depends on the personal situation. But for you, I would say, just take a poster and start exercising, and start with as opposed to any other algorithm, do the NeuroTree. You're going to love it. You're going to enjoy it. It's easy, it's structural, and it's, it will give you an opportunity to work. Plus you do it over some time, few days, weeks, people do it, but yeah, I think it's absolutely fabulous. I would love to see it, Marla. Do feel free to share with me or in the group. We would love to see it. I personally still striving to get there. My biggest is A3, and yeah, month. There you go. Yeah, month. Let me show you what I have. Where is that? I can show you. Where is mine? There you go. I'm going to find you that picture. Some of you saw it. Wait, where is it? Let me show it to you. Do I have it here? I saw this beautiful picture of a lady who drew a NeuroTree. Do I have it? Yeah, there it is. I'm going to share this picture with you. There you go. Some of you saw it because you were in my specialist group. Huh? Isn't that an amazing picture? Look at this beautiful NeuroTree picture. So there you go, Marla. I just gave you something to strive forward to, right? But I personally think it's a magnificent picture. I don't know this person in person, but I do assume that she may be a professional artist, she may not. Is this doable for somebody who is not a professional artist? Absolutely, I'd say, because, with NeuroGraphica, anybody can be, an artist from scratch. But it does take perseverance, it takes patience, takes time, and just lots and lots of, goal orientation, knowing what you want your picture to look like in real life. Okay. Just kind of, wanted to bring that to you. Okay. But yeah. Wait a minute, where am I? Okay, do I see any other picture? Any other questions? Yeah, okay. Thank you everyone for joining me. I was so glad to see you. I am looking forward to tomorrow, and looking forward to seeing if you are gonna draw anything from today. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Wishing you a beautiful summer day ahead, and goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your day.